to be a multi-level mom. That mom who is able to harmonize and balance their life without the burnout, without the mom guilt, without trying to figure out what they should actually give up. To the Mompreneur Experience podcast. I am Christine Psalms, the Mompreneur Coach, and I am a multi-level mom balancing or harmonizing, whichever word you choose, being a wife, a mom, a business owner, and all the things in between. So welcome to the Mom Experience podcast. I'm here to help moms just like you, just like me, figure out what it looks like to go from no time to me time. Yes, getting your me time every single day without burning out. Thanks again for joining me. I'm excited to be on this podcast this morning and or this afternoon or whichever time of day that you're listening to me. We are here every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, whether you're catching me on the audio or the video version of this podcast. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here with me this morning or today. So today we're going to talk about the realistic expectation of you. The realistic expectation of you. What do you expect of you? We expect things from other people. We expect things from our jobs, from our businesses, from our children, our spouses, our family members. But what are you expecting from you? Other people are expecting something from you, whether they're expecting you to be excellent 100% of the time, they're expecting you to show up, they're expecting you to take care of your responsibilities. Your children are expecting you to feed them every day, to bathe them, and to give them shelter. Your job, if you're working a 9 to 5, or even if you own your own business like I do, you're expecting to make sure that your business is prosperous. Your job is expecting you to show up for work every day, that you're supposed to get those reports in and be present. But what are you expecting of yourself? So I asked myself that the other day, and I said, Christine, what are you expecting of yourself today? What does the day hold for Christine, and what are you expecting? So we're going to talk about those realistic expectations because sometimes we do have unrealistic expectations of other people, but more importantly, of ourselves. Whether we are on a weight loss journey, whether we are changing our lifestyle of eating habits, whether we are on a journey of creating a business, turning our hobbies from a hobby into an actual business, whether we are trying to go on a world tour or a trip or whatever the case may be, sometimes we set unrealistic expectations. Today, I don't want to talk about those unrealistic expectations because then we'll start thinking about them. And then when we think about the unrealistic expectations, we try to make it so that they're actually realistic, and they're not. So today we're going to spend some time talking about the realistic expectation of you. And I want you to put your name in that spot. So what are the realistic expectations of Christine M. Song? What are the realistic expectations of, and you put your name right there. So let's talk about that. First of all, before we can set those realistic expectations, I want you to embrace the thought of flexibility. Now, as a dance studio owner, we're always interested in helping our dancers become as flexible as possible, stretching those muscles that we don't normally use on a day-to-day basis so that we can be as flexible as possible. So I'm going to read something to you. So I'm going to read my notes. When you see me looking down, it's because I am a note taker. I take notes, I hear from God, and I write those things down. But I don't want to babble. I want to give you some tangible information that you can take with you. So embrace flexibility. What does that look like to embrace flexibility of you? Understand that there will be days that you just can't give 100% of your time or 100% of you to your business and to your family, and that is okay. I know other people expect us to give 100% all the time, and when we can't, we feel like that we've let them down or we've let ourselves down. So, to be realistic, understand that you have to be flexible. Things happen, life happens. And so, we're not expected to give 100% of every single day, 365 days of the year. So, flexibility allows you to adapt to changing circumstances without feeling overwhelmed by the unrealistic expectations that you put on yourself. So, when is the last time that you felt overwhelmed? Some of you might say, I feel overwhelmed right now. Some of you might say, I felt overwhelmed yesterday. because I had so much on my plate and I couldn't figure out how to get it done. And I want you to think about, what does it feel like to not feel overwhelmed? Have you ever experienced that before? Where you don't feel stressed, where you don't feel overwhelmed, and you don't feel like you can't meet someone else's expectations or even your own? That's when you know it is time to embrace the flexibility of the life. Circumstances happen. People always say life be life, and I kind of assign to that. But more importantly, life does happen, but so does God. God knew that I was going to rupture my Achilles tendon back in September. He knew that was going to happen. He knew that I had to embrace being flexible during that time. I had to embrace that I could not for the last 5 months do the things that I wanted to do because of that circumstance that entered my life, that God allowed to enter my life. So embrace flexibility so that you can establish some realistic expectations from yourself. That's the only way. When you embrace flexibility, you won't feel overwhelmed. When you embrace flexibility, you won't be stressed because you understand that things happen. Now, these are not excuses for not doing something. Understand me clearly. I'm not into making excuses for why something didn't get done in my life or why I didn't show up for a certain event or do whatever somebody else was expecting of me. But I understand that things will happen. God will allow certain things to enter my life, to enter my day, to make me pause, to test my flexibility, if you will, so that I fully embrace being flexible and understand that I'm not going to be able to give 100 every single day in every single area of my life. So just understand that and embrace it. So what do you expect from you? I'm going to keep asking you that throughout the podcast because I want you to answer that question. What do you expect of you today? Not any other day, not two days from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, but what do you expect from you today? Because it should be a daily ask so that we're not trying to foresee the future and we're not trying to jump ahead. That's where stress and being overwhelmed comes. That means we're not locking ourselves into being so rigid that we can't be flexible when things happen. So what do you expect of you today or from you today? Making sure that you are embracing your flexibility. The next point I want to make is be able to prioritize what truly matters. On another podcast, you're going to hear me talk about prioritizing your life and making sure that you put those priorities in order. But what is your priority for today? Make them realistic, making sure that you're not overstepping what you can actually perform, what you can actually do. What are those things in your life that matter the most? I'm not talking about the litany of things that you put on your to-do list, but what are those things that matter the most that need to take priority in your life? What are the most realistic things that matter the most? Realistic things, I need to take my child to the doctor. That's realistic. That's an expectation that you can fulfill. Unless something else happens and you just can't get there, maybe have mechanical difficulty with your car, which may pop up where the flexibility comes in. But prioritize what truly matters. Identify the most important task and goal in both your business and your family life, and focus your time and your energy on those things. Accept that some things may need to be postponed or, my favorite, delegated. And when you hear the podcast, next week's podcast, we're going to talk about and we're going to delve into more of what that looks like. But delegate in order to maintain harmony, not balance, but harmony. If you think about harmony, harmony is when things kind of go together. I'm not a singer, but my husband's a singer, and listen to the praise team on Sunday or the choir. They are harmonizing, meaning the tenor, the alto, and the soprano, all of those voices, although there are many of them, they are harmonizing to create one sound. And that's what we want to do with our life. When we are setting realistic expectations, we are making sure that our life harmonizes together. That's what I do. I make sure as a multi-level mom, as a wife, as a mom, as a business owner, dance studio owner, a mompreneur coach, a business strategist, I am helping moms and women everywhere figure out how to harmonize life. Also, a caregiver for my father. So I'm harmonizing all of those things together so that I don't burn out, so that I don't stress out. The way that I do that is I set realistic expectations. So here's that question again. What do you expect from you? What are your expectations of you? Do you have any? Or are you just letting life take over? Or are you letting other people set those expectations? Those are real questions, and I want you to answer them. I want you to take the time, sit with yourself, as I love to say, because I sit with myself often. But what does that look like for you to sit with yourself and write down what you expect from you? It can be scary to begin this process because I understand that oftentimes we are afraid to look inside. We're afraid to tell ourselves no, which I'm a huge proponent of. Tell yourself no. It's not you, it's me. You've heard that saying. But sitting with yourself, looking at yourself, saying, what do you expect from me, girl? What do you want me to do? And answer the question. But understanding to let yourself off the hook so you realize that those expectations have to be realistic or you're going to let yourself down. So we talked about embracing flexibility. We talked about prioritizing what truly matters. My next point is practice self-compassion, or what I like to call give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. I recently finished a book. I did a book launch called Getting High Off Your Hurt. And it talks about how we oftentimes have so much hurt in our lives that we live our life through our hurt. We give ourselves unrealistic expectations because of the hurt that lives in our life. But one of the chapters that I talk about in the book is talking about giving yourself grace. When is the last time you gave yourself grace? We give everybody else grace. We give our family members grace. Our children get grace. Our boss gets grace when they forget things because we're like, oh, that's just the way they are. That's just what they do. So we give them grace when they make mistakes. But when is the last time you have given yourself grace? You have shown yourself compassion. So be kind to yourself and recognize that perfection is unattainable. Yeah. Because when you set unrealistic expectations, you're telling yourself that you're perfect. You're telling yourself that you can do all of these things when in fact you cannot. It's just unrealistic. So be kind to yourself and recognize that perfection is unattainable. Christ, He's the only perfect thing in our life. The only perfect thing. The only perfect thing in our life. So let yourself off the hook and give yourself grace so that you can set realistic expectations for you. Accept that mistakes and sometimes setbacks are a natural part of life. First of all, they're a natural part of motherhood. We're going to make some mistakes. They're a natural part of raising your family. They're a natural part of entrepreneurship. For all of my entrepreneurs out there, we're going to make some mistakes. I know I've made a mistake. I know I've made a ton of mistakes, but I've learned from them. So giving myself grace means I'm not beating myself up. I'm not telling myself I'm awful, horrible. How could you? What is wrong with you? Get yourself together. Yeah, get yourself together, Christine, and give yourself some grace. So, and we use these things, these obstacles, these mistakes as learning experiences, learning opportunities versus a beat up session, versus jumping yourself. You all know back in the day, and there's this, when kids used to jump each other and there would be a number of kids on top of each other trying to beat themselves. That's horrible, right? That's what we do to ourselves. We jump our own self. We beat up on our own self with our thoughts, with our actions, with our inability to forgive Christine, inability to forgive ourselves, and our inability to give our own grace. Supply grace to yourself. After all, God gives us grace every day. So why not give yourself grace? So what are you doing, or what do you expect from you? What do you expect from you? What do you expect from you? Answer the question. What do you expect? So we're embracing flexibility so that we can give ourselves realistic expectations. We're prioritizing what truly matters in our life. We're not trying to get everything done for everybody else. And we're giving ourselves grace. We're allowing the things that are going to happen in our life to happen, understanding that mistakes and setbacks happen. We're going to learn from them and not jump ourselves. And then we're going to communicate openly with our circle. In order for you to really give realistic expectations, you have to be able to open up your communication. Talk to your circle. Share your challenges and your limitations with your businesses, your business partners, if you have any, your circles, your circle of your sisterhood, your brotherhood, whoever's in your life, your inner circle, that is. I always talk about there are four circles in our life: the inner circle, the outer circle, the social circle, and the seasonal circle. But openly communicate with your circle so that they understand your challenges, understand what your limitations are, so that they help you to understand, sis, that's not realistic. Why are you doing that to yourself? So they can call you on your unrealistic expectations. But you got to be honest with them as well as be honest with yourself. Setting realistic expectations and openly discussing what you need. What you need. As my coach always says, we all need some help. So, what are your needs that you have not shared with your community, that you have not shared with your circle of people that are in your life to support you, not to tear you down, not to judge you, so that they can hold you to the realistic expectations and not the unrealistic ones? So I say, oh, I'm going to go to the moon. I'm going to be an astronaut. But I haven't taken that one class. I haven't applied to NASA. I haven't done anything along those lines that even make it possible for me to go to the moon. Unrealistic expectations. When I tell myself, oh, I'm going to start cutting hair. I'm going to be a barber. I'm going to take appointments today. I'm going to open up my doors. I'm taking $5 a cut. But they're unrealistic expectations because I haven't set the stage for me to be that. Now I can say I'm going to teach you some dance classes because those are realistic because that's in my wheelhouse. That's what I do. When I say to my moms, I'm going to show you how to go from no time to me time, those are realistic expectations of Christine because I've done the work. I know what it looks like to be stressed. I know what it looks like to de-stress myself. I know what it looks like to prioritize my life, delegate my life so that I get me time every day, which means those are realistic expectations for me to be able to do the same thing for you. But I share with my community what my challenges are, what my limitations are. My limitations are I can't do more than 3 things a day: one for my family, one for myself, and one for my business. Those are my priorities. So for me to say I'm going to get 10 things accomplished today, that's unrealistic for Christine because that's not who she is. That's not what she does. So what do you expect from you? What do you expect from you? What does that look like for you to expect you to show up for you? Understanding that mistakes happen, setbacks happen. I'm not going to beat myself up, but setting those realistic expectations. So, number one, we have to embrace our flexibility. Number two, we have to prioritize what truly matters in our life. Understanding mistakes and setbacks happen. We have to give ourselves grace, show that compassion to you first. Yes, to you first. And then communicate openly with your circle, whoever that is in your circle. So, the realistic expectation of you. I want you to breathe that in. What is the realistic expectation of you? I want you to embrace that. What is the realistic expectation of you? Stop feeling like you have to jump through all of these hoops that you created or that somebody else created. So, what are those realistic expectations of you? I want to share something with you that I'm excited about. I want you to take a peek into my life. I'm going to be very open. I'm going to be very honest. I'm going to talk about some realistic expectations that I set for myself and then the unrealistic ones. I'm hosting a webinar March 10th. It's a free webinar March 10th at 6 p.m. It's a Sunday evening after you have gone to church and worship and you cooked your dinner and you've relaxed. Maybe you took a ACN, what they call an after church nap. Maybe you've done that. But I want you to set your calendar and sign up for this free Mompreneur Experience webinar. So I host a Mompreneur program. It's a 10-week program where I help moms figure out how to go from no time to me time. I help moms figure out how to set expectations, how to delegate, how to build circles and tribes and communities to help them do all of these things. It's a 5-week program, but I want to give you a peek into what that looks like. I want to help you understand what I do, how I do what I do. I have some mompreneurs that are going to be joining me on the webinar as well, but it's absolutely free. There's no cost to you. It's going to be about an hour and a half of your time to really delve in to me. I'm going to give you some tangible tools. I'm not just going to talk. I'm going to give you something that you can take away that can help you from being burned out. Whether you have adult children, whether you have minor children, whether you are a caregiver, whether you are running a business, whether you're working a 9 to 5, whether you are a grandparent or aunt and you're caring for other people's children, and you're trying to figure out how in the world am I going to do all of this and not burn out and still get your me time. Still get your me time. I promise you, my husband gets his me time every day, all the time. He takes time out for himself. And I do the same thing. And I teach my children to do the same thing. Take time out for yourself. Take yourself to the movies. Take yourself on a dinner date. Get time for yourself. Breathe in. Get your me time. So I'm going to share those things in this webinar. So definitely join me. Click that link that's going to be provided for you as well. Or you can go to my website, ChristineMPsalms.com. My name, ChristineMPsalms.com. Click that link, register for the free webinar. I promise you, I don't spam people because I don't like people spam me. But I want to show you what it looks like to set realistic expectations for you. So I'm going to ask you this one more time. What do you expect from you? I trust that you've enjoyed everything that I've shared today. I am Christine M. Psalms, the Mompreneur Coach, here to help you go from no time to me time. I motivate you to strive for success and absolutely succeed. Until next time, stay blessed. Do you want to be a multi-level mom? That mom who is able to harmonize and balance their life without the burnout, without the mom guilt, without trying to figure out what they should actually give up.